seasonal eating is the way to go. We've got the beautiful squash, autumnal squash. We've had the lovely grapes. We've got all these lovely root vegetables, and we finished it off with some of that pomegranate. Today we're going to be talking about seasonal eating. Now, in our rapidly changing world, the cost of living is rising and everything is becoming increasingly strained. I'm sure, like me, you've all envisioned running off to your own little homestead, growing everything out in the garden. I would not grow everything out in the garden because I'm not very good at that, but my husband would grow everything out in the garden and I would cook it all in the kitchen and we'd just live in this happy commune. The reality is that's not going to happen tomorrow. So what changes can I make today to make my life a little bit easier? So that's where seasonal eating comes in. Let's start by talking about the most important thing. It makes everything tastier. Eating something that's grown in season is the most delicious time to eat it. Let's take tomatoes for an example. We've all eaten tomatoes in the winter. They're not meant to exist. They're just balls of water that are probably dyed red. And then on the other hand, we've had those beautiful, delicious tomatoes of the summer. They're crispy, they're sweet, you just want to eat the whole packet in one go. They're fantastic. Now, all of your vegetables could taste just as good as that if we ate them in season, when they've been allowed to ripen in the soil, under the sun. They've developed all of that flavor. Then we can talk about the next benefit, that's nutrient density. Again, something that's grown in the soil at the right time, that's been allowed to ripen naturally, is going to be much higher in nutrients than these vegetables that are grown in a forced environment. Not to speak, we have to think about the environmental impact that it has and how much benefit we're doing to eat things in season, grown locally. And of course, it's much more cost effective, which is, I think, a big benefit to all of us in this day and age. Okay, so now that we've established that seasonal eating is definitely the way to go, let's start talking about what we can eat. Now, it is autumn time here in the UK, and if it hasn't given it away already, one of our seasonal heroes is the pumpkin. And I love pumpkins. They come in all shapes and sizes. This is actually one that was grown on our community allotment, and I'm very excited to be able to share it with you all. So what I'm going to start with, I think, is the easiest thing you can do in a kitchen with a pumpkin, and I would be silly not to show it to you all. So I'm going to pop that to the side, and I'm going to get out the one that I've done earlier. So we're going to pull in these lovely vegetables here. Now, I've pre-chopped another pumpkin because we had a lot of these growing. Another benefit of seasonal eating, it's everything in abundance. And I've added to that some other seasonal roots. So we've got some parsnips in there, we have some potatoes, we have some beetroots, we have some sweet potatoes, and I'm just going to throw a bit of oil onto that. And a little bit of salt. And put that straight into the oven. Now, the great thing about this is that you don't really need to think about it once it goes in. So we'll put that into the oven, and then we'll come back to that later, because I, of course, I'm not just going to leave you with a tray of vegetables. We are going to jazz those up a bit. So I'm going to pop those in, and we can crack on with something else. All right, so we have those safely in the oven. While those are cooking away, let's look at what else we can do with this beautiful vegetable. So I'm going to pop this one to the side. And as you can see, I've done lots of prep beforehand, so I'm going to pull in my next prepped things. We have some quinoa, and we're going to make ourselves a quick salad. Now, if you don't want to end up with some sort of quinoa curry, I advise that you let your quinoa cool down, because I have made the mistake for everyone, and no one else needs to make that mistake. So here's some quinoa that I cooked earlier, which is now cooled, and I'm just going to add that to my bowl. So in it goes. Okay, we'll pop that over here. Now, into the quinoa, I'm going to put in, obviously pumpkin is the star of the show today, so we've got some pre-roasted pumpkin. You can boil this, you can roast it, you can cook it however you like. That is still a little bit warm, that's gone straight in. And now I'm going to add some feta, because I feel like feta and pumpkin is a match made in heaven. Now I'm going to pull in some of our other seasonal heroes, which is grapes. Grapes pair really well with this salad. And I've also got a bit of chopped cucumber in there just for some extra green. So in that goes. And now, finally, we're going to go in very heavy with lots of herbs. So I've taken what I've got lying around in the kitchen. So I have a mix here of mint, some parsley and some coriander. And I'm going to be very, very generous with that. So in they go. We'll just reserve a little bit for our roast veg. We'll give that a good stir. Okay, so we mixed that all up, and I'm just going to finish off with a little bit of rocket. And I'm going to pop that to the side. Okay, great. So we've got our beautiful salad, but no salad is complete without a dressing. So let's pop this to the side and think about how we want to dress that. So any jar in your kitchen, don't throw them away. They are the best thing for mixing dressings. So we're going to start with our jar, and we're going to go in with some olive oil. Now, salad dressings have a very simple rule. It's about 2 parts oil and 1 part acid. So acid can be from a vinegar, from lemons, limes, you name it. Wherever you want to find that kind of sour flavor. So we've got our olive oil. I'm going to do a mixture of acidity today. I'm going to go in with some pomegranate molasses, which is essentially just cooked down pomegranate juice. It's sweet, it's a little bit sour, adds a brilliant flavor. So I'll go straight in with that. Okay, and now to that, I'm also going to add just a little bit of lemon to make sure that we really get that kick of flavor. Okay, now as well as the fat, the oil and the acid, we need to add something a little bit sweet to make sure that we're getting a full rounded flavor profile here. So I'm going to go in with some maple syrup. You can also use agave, or you can use honey as you like. And finally, I'm going to put some salt. Now the salad itself has a lot of fresh herbs in it, so we don't really need to go in too heavy with flavorings on the dressing itself. We just want to accentuate what we've already got going on in that bowl. So I'm going to give this a good shake. There we go. And we're ready to go. Let's bring our salad back in, and we'll pour that straight over. Give that a good mix. Now, it's important to remember with salad dressings, as soon as you add them, you're going to start drawing out the moisture of the salad that's in there, particularly leaves like rocket or lettuce leaves. So best to dress your salad when you're actually ready to serve it, otherwise you will end up with a soggy salad. Nobody wants that. So that's the salad done. We can pop that onto a plate, and we're ready to go. Okay, so that is your salad done. So I'm going to pull out a plate, pop that on there. Now this is a great addition to any meal. You can have it as a main, you can have it as a side. It always goes down well. It's colorful, full of nutrients, and it's super simple to make. There we go. Okay, there we have it, our lovely autumnal salad. So we'll pop that over here, and now let's go back to what we've got going on in the oven. Like I said, I don't want to leave those vegetables just plain. Don't get me wrong, I've said it enough, they are very delicious, but I want to jazz them up. So what are we going to put on them? I'm going to start with some tahini. Oh. I'm a very big fan of tahini. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'd have seen the tahini jar coming out already. So we're going to start with some tahini, and into that we're going to go in with a little bit of lemon. Lemon, if you've ever mixed it with tahini, will very, very quickly pretty much solidify it. It will really thicken it up. So you don't need too much tahini because you'll have to loosen it with some water anyway. So there we go. And you'll see this just becomes a nice, creamy, very, very thick sauce. Okay, so as you can see, that is not going to get drizzled over anything once you put that lemon in. So I'm going to loosen that with a little bit of water. Okay, after a good arm workout, I think we're just about there. We've got this lovely creamy tahini. I'm just going to put a touch of soy sauce into that, and then we'll give that another good mix. Okay, so let's get that soy sauce in. And we'll give that a good mix. Perfect. And finally, we're going to finish that off with just a little bit of maple syrup, because we've got all these nice root vegetables that are naturally very sweet. And we just want to accentuate that with a little touch of sweetness ourselves. So there we go. Perfect. Now when these veg come out, we can drizzle this all over and it will be beautiful. Great. So we finished our salad that's dressed and ready to go. Now we're going to have a look at how our veg is getting on in the oven. So let's pull that out. Ooh, it's looking good. We've got some color on that. Everything's cooked soft. Give that just a little mix through. Now, like I said, I don't want to just leave this as is. I do want to jazz this up a little. So we've already got our tahini dressing. And we're going to go in heavy on that. So we'll drizzle that straight over. So we've added, if you remember, we've got lemon in here, we've got a little bit of soy sauce, and we've got some maple syrup to really balance the earthy flavors that we're getting from the vegetables. Great. Now you can keep this on the side if anyone likes things a bit extra saucy. I love things extra saucy. You can add it on as you like. So next we're going to pull in some fresh herbs. And this can be anything. I've got in here some parsley and some mint that we reserved from our salad, and a bit of coriander. And we're just going to go in on top, but you can use any herbs you like. This will just add a little bit of freshness. And then finally, we're going to finish off with the star of the show. Who am I kidding? The pumpkin is the star, but this is the secondary star, is some pomegranate, also in season at this time. And we're just going to whack a few good pieces on there. And that will just add little jewels of juiciness, pop of color, and a little sweet bite. And that's that. Okay, so here we have it. We've got a beautiful, beautiful tray of roast vegetables that we've made just that little bit more extra special. You can have this on the side, you can put it in the middle of the table. It's always a delight. I think we've really shown today that seasonal eating is the way to go. We've got the beautiful squash, autumnal squash. We've had the lovely grapes. We've got all these lovely root vegetables, and we've finished it off with some of that pomegranate. So whatever season you're in, wherever you are, find out what's growing locally and really explore what you can do with it, because it will taste so much better than anything else you can pick up in the shops. So that concludes our piece on seasonal eating. So before we tuck in, I always like to say a prayer of gratitude, just to say thanks for what we have in front of us. In the Bhakti tradition, we thank Krishna for this abundance. We offer the food back to him. But please say a prayer, whatever feels appropriate to you, just to really take a moment to appreciate what we have and how grateful we are for that. And then enjoy.